Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Into the Hive Mind. This video is on the Assimilation Swarm. We are doing a detachment video for each detachment with the new Pariah Nexus and June 2024 update. So this one is obviously the Assimilation Swarm. We've done the Synaptic Nexus, the Crusher Stampede, as well as a overview video. If you have not seen the overview video, please go and check that one out now, so you find out all the changes that Tyranids got with this balanced data slate and the Pariah Nexus. But let's get into the Assimilation Swarm. So the Assimilation Swarm did not receive any specific direct buffs from the data slate, whereas like Crusher Stampede and Vanguard Invasion Fleets both did. The Assimilation Swarm, really the major buff that they got was the buff that all Tyranids got of +1 strength within Synapse. So that is what we're going to be playing around with the most in this detachment. That in addition to just being able to hit harder is just really what Tyranids need. But let's take a look at the Assimilation Force. So what the Assimilation Detachment gives you is the ability to regenerate. I'm not going to go into the exact word-for-word description of this because it is incredibly convoluted the way they specify it. But essentially, you have a bunch of Tyranids that have the Harvester keyword. I say a bunch. It is 4 units. It is Rippers. It is the Haruspex, it is Pyrovores, and it is the Psychophage. So these 4 units have the Harvester keyword. And most of the abilities of the army depend on these Harvester units. But essentially the detachment ability is if the Harvester unit is next to a wounded unit that is on an objective that you control, then you can regen. It is the most hoops that you could ever jump through, even for Tyranids, which is a hoop jumping army. The thing that's always turned me off of this detachment is the fact that it has to be on an objective that you control. It makes it too easy for your opponent to turn it off. But this list is going to try and fight that tooth and nail. So we are built around very durable units that really want to be regenerated, that are able to hold their own on an objective. So with that in mind, let's take a look at the list. So we start off with Deathleaper. He's just incredible. We put him in basically every list, every detachment. Then we have a Hive Tyrant with Parasitic Biomorphology. So this is a 25-point enhancement that gives the unit +1 strength. In addition, if they manage to kill an enemy unit while within 6 inches of a Harvester unit, then they also get +1 to their attack characteristic for the remainder of the battle. Again, lots of hoops to jump through, but if you do it, then your unit gets a bonus attack, which can be huge. We're going to try something that I have not done before. We're going to try Tyrant Guard with this guy, and we're going to give them the Crushing Claws. Now, Crushing Claws are just really sad Tyranid equivalents of Power Fists. So there's 6 guys. They have 2 whole attacks each. So they're 12 attacks, again at a Power Fist profile of 8/2/2. And they hit on 4s with no rerolls. So that seems really, really bad. However, we now have +1 strength from the enhancement. We also have +1 strength from the new being within 6 of Synapse. So suddenly, these Power Fists are now 10/2/2. They are also twin-linked. I did forget to mention that. That is what makes them decent. So now we have 12 attacks at 10/2/2 twin-linked. Still hitting on 4s, which is pretty rough. But all we need to do is kill an enemy unit in combat next to a Harvester unit, and then suddenly we get a 50% increase in the number of attacks. The unit suddenly has 3 attacks each. We now have 18 twin-linked 10/2/2 Power Fist attacks. Hopefully all we need to do is have Swarmlord go and kill a midfield scout unit, something like that your opponent throws forward to do secondaries or screen you out infiltrating and you go first. And basically, Swarmlord is the one who does most of the heavy lifting, and these Power Fists clean the unit up. And now the unit has 18 attacks, again at 10-2-2 twin linked. I think that's actually nothing to scoff at. I think that actually can kill vehicles, and definitely is good at killing Marines. But, so that is our first real unit here. The other thing is Tyrant Guard are the best unit to try and regenerate, because being toughness 8 with 4 wounds, they're annoying to kill, so bringing them back. Some armies can just one-shot pick up this entire squad and then you just lose, but most armies can't, and if an army can only kill 1 or 2 a turn and you're bringing back 1 or 2 a turn, then you just auto-win. So this is kind of a weird way to do a stat check army, but that's kind of what this is basically saying, can you kill a bunch of Tyrant Guard? Because our next unit is then the Swarmlord, also with 6 Tyrant Guard. Just again, the Tyrant Guard are the best unit to be able to regenerate back onto the field, and they're really durable. These ones, we are not going with the Crushing Claws because we don't have an ability to give them +1 attack, so instead they just have the Scything Talons and Rending Claws. And basically you're relying on Swarmlord to kill anything big that touches this unit, and then these guys kill anything that's like mass number small guys, because with the the Rending Claws and Scything Talons, this unit has 5 attacks at the 6-1-1 profile, again because of +1 strength for being within Synapse. So this unit has 30 attacks at 6-1-1 and should be able to clean up any like hordes that try and tie Swarmlord up, and Swarmlord can then kill anything big that's trying to, not take any damage from the Tyrant Guard. Now we need to get into all of our Harvester units. So as discussed, these are the Haruspex, Pyrovore, Psychophage, and Ripper Swarms. We want to have as many of these as possible because that's how our army functions, is by having these guys all over the board. So we have 3 Haruspex. I think this is required for any Assimilation Force list. These Haruspex, they are the prime benefiters of the stratagem that is 2 CP. Give a Harvester unit a 5-up Feel No Pain. If they are on an objective you control, they get a 4-up Feel No Pain. So these guys just want to sit on the midfield objective, punch anything that gets too close, and if the opponent shoots them, you pop this strat, get a 4-up Feel No Pain, and they're actually very, very difficult to remove. And that is probably the biggest selling point of the Assimilation Swarm. So we want 3 of these guys. They're also super cheap. Again, with the new buff, all of their 14 attacks are at strength 8, which is a big difference. So yeah, triple Haruspex. Move them forward, put them on the midfield objectives, try to not die, and regenerate them a lot. We've got a single Neurolictor because, again, they're great. Infiltrating lone op that can battle shock your opponent and then give you +1 to wound is fantastic. We have a singular Psychophage. If you want to go more, you can, but this list very quickly runs out of points when you're just grabbing all Harvester units. So a singular Psychophage, again, he just gives you a 6-up Feel No Pain, and he can also benefit from all of these Harvester abilities. But essentially, he's the guy that just sits in the middle and hopefully is actually doing most of the regenerating. Then we've got 3 singular Pyrovores. These guys are multi-purpose. They are your action monkeys. They are also, obviously, they're Harvester units that you can be by, but they are the ones that are probably going forward to die and proc all of your strats, because you have the best strat for this detachment is when your opponent kills a Harvester unit, you spend a CP, and the rest of your army is +1 to wound against that unit in Vengeance. And that is the best strat that this detachment has. So Pyrovores are going to be the sacrificial lambs that are going to feed that fire, in addition to also hopefully just being the guys that are within 6 of the Tyrant Guard when they kill a unit. We also have 2 Ripper Swarms. Same thing. These guys, they are literally the sacrifice. You're going to deep strike them in, and you're going to charge into an enemy unit that you want +1 to wound against. The enemy unit has to attack you, and your toughness, 2 or 3? I don't even remember anymore. Toughness 2 with a 6-up save and 4 wounds. So even just regular base guys without melee weapons are still going to be killing you, and then you pop +1 to wound against them, and that's what the Ripper Swarms are there for. If they happen to get some regenerations off, great. And finally, we have 6 Zoanthropes that get to join the Neurotyrant. This is the other unit that is really, really good at regenerating. They have a 4-up invuln T5, 3 wounds apiece, so your opponent is probably not killing the entire unit in one go, and bringing Zoanthropes back is really good, especially now that they're part of the Neurotyrant unit and they hit on 2s. They actually do damage. And the Neurotyrant has the Biophagic flow enhancement, which basically makes it where, again, we're hopping through hoops here. If a Harvester unit is within 12 of him, then they can regenerate a friendly Tyranid unit within 9 instead of 6. So essentially, Harvesters within 12 of him have a 9-inch regen instead of a 6-inch regen, which is really good. That is a considerable increase in range. It actually doubles the area that these guys are around. So yeah, that's as a nice 10-point enhancement. So basically the way this list is going to play is you have the Zoanthropes, both Hive Tyrants with all 12 Tyrant Guard. They just shove in the middle and tell your opponent, come and get me. This is 3 hyper durable units that can regenerate. They're taking the middle. Haruspexes are taking the side objectives and can use the strats to get the 4-up Feel No Pain and just hold on. And then basically anything that gets close enough, hopefully Swarmlord kills, gives your Tyrant Guard +1 attack. And then you've got Rippers and Pyrovores to do actions. Well, sorry, not actions for Rippers, but Pyrovores do actions, and those guys all sacrifice themselves to give you +1 to wound, which with all of this like Strength 6, Strength 8, Strength 7 Blast Zoanthropes, all of that getting +1 to wound actually does a ton of damage. And meanwhile, you're just hyper durable and regenerating. And that's the way this list plays. It just tries to put a brick of stuff in the middle of the table, regenerate it, keep it alive, and basically chip away and wear down your opponent in a war of attrition. I do think that this is a totally viable strategy, and some armies just flat will not be able to deal with it, and you just win the game automatically. The flip side of that is some armies 100% will be able to meet that damage check, pick you right off the table, and you kind of just lose automatically. But I think 70% of your games are going to be neither of those, and it will just be a long war of attrition that'll be a lot of fun and feel very thematic with the Tyranids grinding down the opponent and using their biomass to create more Tyranids for the fight. And I really just love how that would play. I will say none of these lists have had Battle Line in them. Pariah Nexus is pushing Battle Line. I do think Gargoyles and Hormagaunts are great at flipping objectives. I have not put them in the lists because I'm trying to put a bunch of new stuff in. I don't think Battle Line is necessary in Pariah Nexus, even though they said they're pushing it. I think we lose out on banners, and that's really the only true loss that we're losing. The units are still good, but they're there to basically flip an objective and then die next turn is what you take Gargoyles and Hormagaunts for. And I'm just not putting them in the list because I'm trying to put new stuff in the lists. And yeah, so that's why I'm not doing that. You might struggle on primary, but specifically with this list, I think you're just parking on the middle, and you should hold your home with the Biovore. The other neat trick is if a unit dies, you have the strat for when a unit dies, heal a friendly unit within 6, and that includes the Spore Mines that the Biovore creates. So you can have fun doing that, prevent the advance and charge abilities, and then when your opponent shoots a Spore Mine, it then heals you, which is hilarious. But yeah, that's how the Assimilation Swarm plays. Let me know what you guys think, if you've been playing Assimilation Swarm yourself, your list ideas, and how it's been doing for you. And I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you very much.